Hello, this is English Shorthand dictation and the dictation speed is 100 words per minute, which is very helpful for all governmental competitive exams.
5 seconds. Ready? Start. The outbreak of COVID 19 has impacted nations in an enormous way, especially the nationwide lockdowns, which have brought social and economic life to a stop. We cannot believe that a world which is always busy with activities has fallen silent and all the resources have been diverted to meeting the crisis. There is a multi-sectoral impact of the virus as the economic activities of nations have slowed down. I would like to mention about the joint report of 2019 of the World Health Organization and the World Bank, which has estimated the impact of such a pandemic at 2% to 5% of global GDP. The prediction seems to have come true as we see the world is facing this crisis. In another report presented by the International Labour Organization, it was explained that the crisis has already transformed into an economic and labor market shock. It is on the one hand impacting the supply and on the other hand demand also. I would like to quote what the chief of the IMF said. He said that the world is faced with extraordinary uncertainty about the depth and duration of this crisis, and it was the worst economic fall since the Great Depression. As far as the economy of India is concerned, it is also suffering very badly under the yoke of the pandemic, and as per news reports in Economic Times published that the loss due to COVID 19 lockdown reached to hundreds of billions of dollars. Many other reports are also in the public domain about the estimation of loss. This pandemic affected the manufacturing and the service sector, tours and travels, healthcare, retail, banks, hotel, real estate, education, health, and others. The economic stress has started and will grow rapidly, while lockdown and social distancing result in productivity loss on the one hand. They cause a sharp decline in demand for goods and services by the consumer in the market on the other, thus leading to a collapse in economic activity. These sectors will take lot of time to gain their strength. The tourism industry is the worst affected due to the COVID crisis internationally. In a recent estimation made by the World Tourism Organization, there is a fall of around 30% in international tourist arrivals. These figures too are based on present circumstances and are likely to increase or decrease in future. Millions of people associated with industry are likely to lose their jobs. In India, the travel and tourism industry is affected badly, which is contributing sizably to the economy. As a matter of fact, tourism in India accounted for 9% of GDP and had generated $200 billion in 2018 with the creation of 20 million jobs. Currently, it is the eighth largest country in terms of contribution of GDP. That is the reason why the impact was visible on the economy. According to the report, by 2030, the sector is expected to provide employment to nearly 50 billion people. Foreign tourist arrivals crossed 10 millions in 2017. However, coronavirus pandemic has restricted international mobility and the revenues generated by this sector will take a major toll on the growth rate. It may bring a sizable downfall in the growth rate of our economy. The aviation sector in India currently contributes $70 billion to India's economy. Foreign tourist arrival has been reduced in the first phase. The lockdown will have a significant impact on arrivals in the second phase. The aviation sector in India currently contributes $70 billion to India's economy. Foreign tourist arrival has been reduced in first phase. The lockdown will have a significant impact on arrivals in the second phase. If we estimate a minimum 25% decline in the contribution of the aviation sector, it will amount to 18 billion. It is really a big loss to the economy. Railways contributes significantly in our development, but the lockdown period will bring down the revenue. The Indian retail industry is one of the very important industries in our country. It accounts for over 10% of the country's economy and around 10% of employment. In the past few years, online retail has seen a very rapid growth, and the market projections had indicated a 30% growth in online retail. A month long lockdown retail will affect this sector in a big way. In a retail sector, the suppressed demand has a tendency to revive very fast, and this will enable the sector to recover the losses once the lockdown is lifted. Online retail was operational in various parts of the country during the lockdown period, and this will help in counteracting some of the losses for the industry. The International Labour Organization, in its report, describes this pandemic as the worst global crisis. About 400 million people working in the informal economy in India are at a risk of falling deeper into poverty due to this crisis. Seasonal migration of labor for work is a pervasive reality in rural India. A migration of millions of people happens from rural areas to industries, urban markets, and farms. Major migration corridors in India are from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Punjab, and Haryana. These migrant workers are employed in the construction sector, domestic work, textile, transportation, mining, and agriculture. Although government has announced a relief package of rupees 2000 billion, many of them might find it difficult to avail the benefits. These workers expected the government to provide for monthly ration and monthly financial support. Out of fear that they will die of starvation, workers start returning homes from various parts of the country. Despite assurance from the government, they continued to walk back to their homes. It is a saga of inequality and poverty of vulnerable sections of our society who are struggling to overcome this sudden crisis. We cannot blame the workers as they were compelled to take such steps. The Supreme Court sought a status report from the central government on the measures taken to prevent the massive exodus of laborers to their villages. A sudden movement of workers due to coronavirus will have far-reaching effect on the Indian economy. Some of these workers may not return to work in the industrial town of Delhi, Mumbai, and Gujarat. They may seek employment in their marginal farms or in the nearby areas. These consequences of lockdown will put pressure on medium and small scale industries and agricultural sector as labor will not be available soon after lockdown. If the government will not take immediate and proper step to address this crisis, it may also increase inequality, discrimination, and global unemployment in the medium and long term.